In this tutorial video, I'm going to cover the advanced animation system. We're going to cover velocity, blending, and holding. And I've got my Mega Man character here, and he's going to use all three of these features. So I'm going to go ahead and right click on him and click edit. Now I've already got all of this set up, and so I'm just going to show you how all of this works. We've got his still animation up here, and we've got all his frames. We don't have all of them done yet. This is still a work in progress. But the first thing I'm going to show you is velocity. So we're going to apply velocity to walking, and it'll pretty much always just be used for walking. You're not really going to use it for anything else. We're going to turn on the velocity. And this is a very subtle thing. It's particularly from Mega Man. You may not even notice it at all, but we're going to turn on the velocity and we'll see if it actually applies visibly to Mega Man. And what's going to happen is, actually let's go back for a moment so we can take another look at this. Let's go back to the walk animation. Now we have the speed set to 85, so he's running pretty quickly. And what velocity does is it will change how fast your animation plays based on how fast you're moving. Now when we look at Mega Man's behavior, you'll see that his rate is much slower than his max, which means it gets going, it takes it about 3 frames for him to get to his maximum speed. And so, well, actually it's more complex than that, but he starts off slower and then it'll slowly build up. So what's going to happen is, until he hits this maximum speed of 13, his walking animation is going to be a little bit slower. And it's basically the percentage based on how close you are to your max. And you may not notice this because he doesn't really move that much quicker, but you can see it a little bit when he first starts to walk. His animation takes a moment to get going, and then it speeds back up. If we slow him down to, let's say, 1, now let's have him walk to the left. You see it starts off much slower. Look how slow the animation starts, and then it gets going much quicker. So that's how you do velocity. Let's get that back. Now setting it back, and I kind of like that. I think I'll leave that in there. So that's how velocity works. Now if you set a run modifier, it'll speed it up even faster than the maximum speed. And it's all based on a percentage. So now let's look at, we want to look at blending and holding. So how does this work? Now, we have walk plus action. This particular Mega Man sprite can walk while shooting his gun. What blending does is it allows us to go from our running animation or any standard animation, and it'll blend it into the attack version. So, or the action version. It doesn't have to be an attack, it's just an action. So you're only going to see blend and hold on an action. So what we've got is, we've taken each walking frame and we've placed an attacking frame on top of it. So what's going to happen if we turn blend off? Let me show you what happens when we've got blend off. When blend is off, when we begin to fire our weapon when we're running, it's going to go back to the first frame. It's not going to blend to the current walk frame we're on, so it's going to look pretty lousy. Let's see how this looks. Now you really can't see it that well. If you look at his feet, you can see how his feet are snapping into position, because it's just basically starting at the beginning as opposed to blending the current frame. So if we look at the walk frame, you see the third frame of the walk, he's got his left foot way out. So now when we look at walk plus action, the third frame, his gun is out. So by blending it, when we're walking normally, when we hit this frame and then hit the action button, it's going to start on that frame. So now when we go back and look at it, you can see that the feet aren't snapping into position, and he's blending right into that frame. So the next thing we want to look at is holding. So what is holding? Well, holding means that it will continue to play the animation even after we release the attack key. So I'll show you how that works. You can see that we fired our weapon, but he keeps holding his gun out. Let's turn that off to where you don't see that. He doesn't set his weapon back down. He continues holding it out as long as that animation loops. And the more we press it, it'll just keep playing that same animation. So that's what holding does. It'll hold that animation. Now let's turn that off. Let's turn off the hold. And now when we tap it, when we press the action key, you can see it puts the gun back down. So you can just choose how you want to do that. I prefer to have hold on, and you can do this for other animations as well. You can do it for the jumping animation. In fact, I have it set for the jumping animation as well. So you see when I jump and shoot, you can see that it holds, his gun stays out. We fall, same thing. So I've got it all blended for all of that as well. And that's how you do all that. Now the other thing I want to show you very quickly, and I'll do this in other videos as well, but you're probably asking, well, how do you do the bullets? You'll notice that I've got the gear on every single frame of his walking attack, but we don't want to just shoot the gun. We don't want a bullet to come out every single time. So when we click on one of these, you see what we've got on every single frame. We've got the bullet. We'll click on every single one of these. There's the bullet. But you'll notice that when I was just holding down the attack button, it didn't spawn a bullet. That's where this button comes into play. Create objects only if action button is pressed. So when you're doing a blended animation where you've got someone's gun sticking out, like Contra for example, and you wanted to have the gun, out in front instead of kind of up at the angle before they're shooting, you have it sticking out and then you fire the bullets. You want to click this. Now if I don't click this, if I turn this off, then when it plays the running and attack animation, it's going to spawn all these objects, everything over here, every single frame. So you want to turn create objects only if action button is pressed. If that's off, if we turn that off, we're not going to turn it off because we've got a lot of frames. But if we turn that off, then he's going to sit there in every single frame. As long as you tap that button once, he's just going to shoot out a barrage of bullets. So that's how it works. And we can set velocity here as well. If you set velocity here as well, he won't be able to attack quite as fast at the start. So I don't turn velocity on with the walking animations. But you can do velocity only applies to walking, and blending and hold only applies to attack, and you can blend and hold pretty much any animation you want. So that's the velocity and blending and holding. And you don't have to do it for just for like a shooting character or something else. You could have someone running and then swinging a sword at the same time as well. But it's going to be primarily used in games where you can move while attacking, continuing to move while you're attacking.